Hey guys, it's JD here with another live broadcast of bestmmapicks.com, Twitter @bestmmapicks, where we're getting ready to break down the card for UFC 190, Rousey versus Correia. This card, honestly, in my opinion, is not a very exciting card, other than Ronda Rousey. And I don't think that will last very long, but we'll talk about that later. There's a shitload of fights. If you appreciate MMA at all, the card will be, there will be a few good fights, but not like some of the other cards we've had. I appreciate a lot of the undercard fights myself, just because I enjoy trying to see, who's up and coming and, where I could get some value from some of these different lines. Lately the undercard's been kicking my ass, though. I'm not gonna lie. I've been doing much better with the main card fights with the fighters that I'm a lot more familiar with. This card, honestly, there are some fights that I'm not 100% familiar with, fighters that I'm not 100% familiar with, and I may just lay off of them altogether. And I'm just gonna be honest with you and tell you, hey, I'm not familiar with these fighters. I haven't seen them fight a whole lot. If I do get a chance to review their footage and I see something that could be exploited as far as a bet, I will post it live on Twitter. So, make sure you've added me to your Twitter if you haven't already done so. That's where I post all of my final selections. Last card, we did pretty well. Some of you may have gotten on that Misha Tate bet. Hopefully some of you guys cashed in on that. I had some second thoughts when I was looking at the line movement on it. I just didn't like it. It was a little fishy, but to me, Misha was the obvious pick. Easy money. If you parlayed it, you probably made out with some good money. So I'm just going to take a sip of my beer here, and then we'll get down to business. Oh, God, that's good. Gotta love that Montana Huckleberry beer. Shit, you can only get it in Montana, and it's good stuff. Anyway, so let's get down to business here. Got my notes. I do have a pick tonight for World Series of Fighting, which is actually happening tomorrow. There's one fight that I really like, and I think there's some value with one of the lines on that. But I'll talk to you about that later, so stay tuned later on into this broadcast. Another thing that I wanted to mention is a lot of people have been questioning me as to how to where I get my lines. Most of my lines are pulled from nitrogensports.eu. It's a European sports online book, and that's where I pull all my lines from. It's based off of Bitcoin, in which I've actually posted a video of how to use Bitcoin. I will be posting more videos on the Twitter as to how to open a wallet and create a wallet, how to keep it anonymous, and how to send and receive Bitcoin from these places, and where to buy it. So stay tuned there. Should be in the next week here, but I'll have some time to do that. So we're going to start off Guido Canetti and Hugo Viana, the first undercard fight. Canetti coming in as the underdog at positive 351, and Hugo Wolverine Viana coming in at favorite of negative 410. The over-under is set at over 1.5 rounds, being negative 147, and the under being positive 125. This fight here stands out as being one of those fights that the UFC kind of really jacks the odds up, being two decent fighters and there being a huge disparity between the lines. And Canetti, to me, he's not a bad fighter. He's, definitely not that big of an underdog to Viana. After seeing Viana get knocked out by TJ Dillashaw, it's understandable that TJ Dillashaw is far superior striker to Canetti, but Canetti's quick striker as well. I mean, he can, if you've seen some of his last, if you've seen his last two fights, the guy can throw some pretty amazing kicks. He's got some packs and power. He's finished people. I mean, he's had several first-round finishes, knockouts, and he kind of has that all-or-nothing attitude where, it's, he's going to get himself knocked out or the other guy's going down. And this could be really dangerous for a guy like Hugo Viana, who does shoot for a lot of takedowns, tries to get the guy on the ground, which more than likely he's going to be able to do with Kennedy. I think he's going to dictate where the fight goes ultimately, and it's probably going to be one of those episodes, super boring fight, where, basically Hugo smothers the guy. We might see some stand-up, though. If he's feeling like putting on a fight, he may stand with Kennedy, which could be a mistake for him. I could see him getting knocked out or getting tagged like he did with Dillashaw, especially with those kicks. They just come out of nowhere. So, Kennedy has, to me, he has a fighter's chance, a puncher's chance with this one. He's an underdog big time, but there's some value there, I think. Might be worth a small play on Kennedy. I can't take Hugo Viana at 4-1, paying 4-1 on that. That's just ridiculous to me. Kennedy's not a bad fighter. He's still a game opponent. More than likely, my prediction is for Hugo Viana to win by decision. The over looks pretty good to me. I mean, I think that this will go past the first round. The over is -147. That may be worth a play. I just see Kennedy getting taken down. I see these guys both getting tagged, once or twice a piece, but not anybody getting knocked out unless it's a real flush hit from Kennedy. Viana is not going to knock out Kennedy. I doubt it. So the over to me is good, especially if it goes to the ground. I think that, it's going to, it'll be a kind of a war against the cage, and then somebody will get taken down and they'll get back up to their feet. And then, just a bunch of wasted time pushing up against the cage in the clan. That's what I see this happening here, but, somebody might see something different. So, my pick for this would be Hugo Viana by decision, and, the over being -147. I picked over 1.5 rounds for it to go over. Next fight, we have Clint Hester and Vitor Miranda, both Ultimate Fighter fighters, different seasons. One being Ultimate Fighter Brazil, the other one being, Ultimate Fighter here in the United States. Clint Hester is a big ass dude. At the weigh-ins, he looks smaller than he normally does, though. So I don't know if he, was on some PEDs or something before, or if he just was cutting more weight. What happened there? But he was a big-ass guy. It looked like he was a lot bigger before in his last two fights. Looked like he might have, shrank a little bit. Still a, really good boxer. His stand-up is just, he packs a lot of power. He's a good boxer. That's his claim to fame. He's also got he's been working on his ground game, though. He's got the ability to take down. He's very athletic. He's a favorite here at -161. Miranda is the underdog at 144. I've seen Miranda fight before. I'm trying to remember exactly who he fought. I'm going to take a look here just to refresh my memory, which fight that was. But he didn't look bad. He just kind of looked like to me, Miranda looked like he was very hesitant in his last fight, to throw down. Whereas Clint Hester has, he throws with his punches with absolute conviction. The fight that I saw was Antonio Carlos Jr. and Vitor Miranda. Carlos Jr., who just, beat him by unanimous decision, landed several takedowns on him. I see Miranda wanting to stand and trade here. I also see Hester being the one who gets the better out of the stand-up. And then possibly Miranda maybe trying to take him down, but it's not going to happen. I doubt that he'll be able to get Hester down unless he times it correctly. Hester just likes to bum rush and, shoot for the legs. That's the way that he likes to take people down. It's kind of awkward and just really, comes out of nowhere. But sometimes it works. It gets people to the ground. So I would give the advantages of the wrestling to Hester. And Miranda, he might be slightly faster than Hester, but Hester definitely, he's got the feints. He's got good head movement. He'll manage the boxing, even though that Miranda's a little faster. I think that ultimately Hester will probably catch him with a good punch and phase him, and I can see him getting dropped and then a TKO victory after he takes his back or something like that. That's what I see happening here to Miranda, unless he gets really lucky. I just don't see him winning. So my pick is to go with Clint Hester at -161. And I didn't mention the over-under on this one, did I? Oh, yeah, I really like this one, actually. The over-under set at 2.5 rounds, over being -159 as the favorite, and the under being a +135. I think that there's too many ways for these guys to finish each other. Hester has the tendency. Miranda, I don't know. They're both finishers. Miranda has 7 first-round finishes. Hester has quite a few finishes early in his career against several non-UFC opponents. But lately he's gone the distance or into later rounds. So that's probably why this is the over is the favored line here. But I feel like we're going to see a finish here. I could see Hester getting a TKO or KO, and maybe even Miranda getting lucky with the shot and knocking out the lights for Clint Hester. So I think that there's a good value there with the under 2.5 rounds. So I'm going to go with my prediction for the under, not to go the distance, under 2.5 rounds. The next fight we have Yuri Alcantara versus Leandro Issa, both Brazilian fighters, one being primarily a striker in Alcantara, and Issa being a world champion jiu-jitsu black belt. Issa's look really good. His last fight, trying to remember, I don't have all these committed to memory, but I do review footage. This card I did not review a whole lot of footage, so I may not have a whole lot of picks. I'll probably only have like 3 or 4 good plays that I really feel solid about. But I am posting my leans here. Issa, I'm curious here. I want to see who he last fought. Oka Sasaki. So Oka Sasaki is also a submissions artist, and he submitted Oka Sasaki and looked pretty damn good doing it. I mean, he did it in the 2nd round. I remember seeing this, and he landed 2 takedowns, and he passed guard 5 times. So, he's clearly a league ahead of a lot of the people that he goes up against on the ground. So the ground advantage would go to Issa. I just don't see him being able to take down Alcantara, who has a really strong takedown defense. It's gone up really tough opponents. Alcantara's fought against guys like Uriah Faber, Fawn Lee, Wilson Reese, Russell Doan, and he's beat him. He did have a loss. He's coming off of a loss, so that may be even better for taking Alcantara. He came off a loss to Frankie Sands. I did not see that fight. I know what Yuri Alcantara is capable of. I'm curious to review that footage. It was a unanimous decision victory. It might have been one of those UFC judge robberies. I'm going to look at that footage because I didn't get a chance to see it. But I feel like out of the 2 fighters, the better fighter is clearly Alcantara, which is reflected in the odds. So there may actually be a little bit of value for parlays here with Alcantara. He's training with Jackson's MMA now, which may also play into his strategy a little bit. Jackson's usually they come up with really sound strategy. They like to review footage and kind of target the weaknesses of their opponents. And Greg Jackson does an amazing job at that. So with a coaching advantage, definitely goes to Alcantara. He's also had a lot of finishes. 19 of his 31 wins have been by first round. So, and Isa's also got a lot of subs. So, this one here, it's set, the over-under set at 1.5 rounds, over 1.5 rounds being negative 190 and the under 1.5 being positive 160. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a first-round finish here from one of these guys. More than likely not. But there may be a little bit of value there if you're willing to place a small bet. You may see a sub or even one of these guys getting their lights put out. We've seen some weird things happen lately, and this could be one of those. So just kind of keep that in mind. More than likely it does go over though with somebody and trying to take down, but Alcantara he's a striker. He's got really good Muay Thai, strong leg kicks. I mean, the guy is just a beast. So, don't be surprised if you see Isa try to go for a takedown and get a knee to the chin and just get his lights put out. I could see that happening. But, only time will tell. So my pick is Yuri Alcantara by way of knockout, probably second round. And for this to go, over 1.5 rounds. I can't take that as a pick, though, but that's my lean is for it to go over 1.5. But I could see it being close. Next fight, Warley Alves versus Nordine Taleb, TriStar guy. Alves coming in at the favorite at negative 232. Taleb coming in as the underdog at positive 206. Over-under set at 2.5 rounds. Over being favored at negative 147. Under at positive 125. Not too familiar with either of these guys. I did not watch Ultimate Fighter. I believe that they're Ultimate Fighter Brazil fighters. A lot of people are touting Alves. I'd have to look at more footage to see if there are any values here between the two. From what I know, TriStar, they very technically based striking. So Taleb's probably getting that sort of a striker's education over there. 5 of his 11 wins have been by KO, so that's something to note. He's very athletic as well. From what I understand, Alves was a ground guy. I just kind of want to look at some stats here real quick. These two. I'd have to look at more footage, though, to give you a good lean on it, which I haven't. Not on these. Had some family commitments this week. A lot of work, too. So Taleb's from France. Probably trains with Georges St. Pierre. And Alves is a 100% takedown defense. Taleb is a grappler as well. He's got an 85.71 takedown accuracy, probably from training with Carmon and St. Pierre, I would imagine. He averages about 4 takedowns per fight. He's got a really good striking accuracy at 59% versus 45% with Alves. He's got a really good striking defense, too, probably from that technical striking. I mean, when you're comparing these two guys on pen and paper, Taleb looks like a better fighter. So, just kind of keep that in mind. But Alves probably is favored. He's probably a more powerful striker. Probably has fought more game opponents. I don't know who all he's fought, but he's undefeated. So we could see an upset here. I could see this be at a paperbook upset, but I have to look at footage to see, really have a lean there. I just looking at these guys on paper, seeing the takedown defense of Alves. I probably go with Alves here. I don't like taking massive favorites, but there's probably a reason why for that. And a lot of people have been touting this guy. So, my lean would be to go with Alves, probably in a parlay, but I don't even know that I'm going to touch this fight, to be honest. And I'd probably be seeing this one go over 2.5 rounds. I don't see a lot of guys from TriStar getting finished. You don't see those guys getting finished a whole lot. It's very rare, and it's got to be against somebody who's really a game, it's got to be against like a Robbie Lawler who just dismantles you. So I think this one will go over 2.5 rounds, but I don't like playing those kind of overs. I think they're a little risky. There's too many ways for a lot of these guys to win. So I usually try to stay away from overs. I don't like playing them, but that's my lean. Next fight. This one I'm looking forward to somewhat. Patrick Cummins versus Rafael Feijão Cavalcante. Cummins, some things to note about him lately. He's been kind of jumping around in different camps, getting, a lot of different variety of training partners. Been training with Michael Bisping, Shogun Hua as a sparring partner. He's a favorite coming into this one, mainly because of his massive wrestling pedigree. He's coming in as a -168 favorite. Feijão coming in as the underdog at +151. This over-under is set at 1.5 rounds. Over being favored at -166 and the under at +144. Oh, sorry, I couldn't resist there. My throat was getting freaking dry. I'm going to turn this phone off. It's annoying the shit out of me. Hang on a sec here. There. Silence. Okay, so looking at this one, Feijão looked like shit to me. The last fight, I really was disappointed with him against Ryan Bader. He just looked like complete shit. He didn't look like the normal Feijão that I'm used to seeing. He's getting thrown around, pushed up against the cage. He looked like he had the flu or something to me. And I'm just like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Like, he's so inconsistent. But I think he's such a good fighter. I've seen him fight against guys like really, really good fighters. Like, I'm having a memory block. Probably from the beer, the Huckleberries. He fought against Romero, Yoel Romero, for example, knocked him out. One of the only guy really to knock him, put him to sleep, and so his hands are good. He's got really good hands, really good timing with his, strikes. I think he'll have an easy time. I think he's going to be able to time Cummins a lot better than Bader. He had a hard time with Bader because Bader comes in, he uses his striking to his advantage to get those takedowns. Ryan Bader puts it together really well, whereas a guy like Cummins, he really hasn't figured that out yet, how to integrate his wrestling. I mean, he's a fucking good wrestler, and he just dominates guys when he gets on top of them. But he has not figured out how to put his takedowns and his timing together, to make it effective for MMA. When he gets a guy down, he gets him down and he keeps him there. And he probably can finish guys pretty easily with that grounded pound. But, he really doesn't put it together like he could. And he leaves himself open to a lot of shots, and Feijão's a master at timing people and just putting them to sleep. I mean, the guy, all 12 of his wins, they've all been by KO. A lot of them in the first round. I don't know how many exactly. I didn't count them. But he's got all wins by knockout. I mean, that tells you something about the guy's hands. They're just freaking heavy hands. And he likes to put people to sleep. That's his preferred method. And guess what? Patrick Cummins, he's got a weak-ass chin. He's Mr. Glass Jaw, okay? That worries me. I want to take Cummins because of the fact that he is a fucking good wrestler, and I feel like he's going to be able to manhandle Feijão. Probably like Bader did, but maybe even a little bit better. He's looked really dominant with a lot of these guys when he actually gets him to the ground. The ones who have timed him correctly, he's gotten his lights put out, and that worries me. And I feel like with his last fight, he got his lights out with a, heavy-handed guy. Ovince St. Preux just knocked him out, and that was really disappointing because I feel like he could have really easily won that fight. But he made a mistake and left himself open. I have just this gut feeling. My mind tells me to take Patrick Cummins, but my heart tells me to take Feijiao, and my gut tells me to take Feijiao. This looks like it's a rife upset to me because of the fact that Feijiao is an experienced guy. He's fought guys like Dan Henderson, who also have knockout power, who are good wrestlers. The guy's got way more experience than Cummings does. And to me, that's dangerous with an underdog. So my lean is to go with Rafael Feijiao Cavalcante at a positive 151 underdog. And I think that this one will probably go over 1.5 rounds, but my gut's telling me no. But that would be a risky play to me for it to be on the under at 144. But I think there's some value there. I think one of those two lines is going to hit. So if you bet both, you're going to come out ahead. If you bet both the same. So, keep that in mind. I feel like one of those two will definitely hit, if not both. Feijiao wins, it's probably going to be both of those hitting. And I have a feeling that he's gonna. I just don't know why. I feel like last fight, he's like one of those hit and miss guys. He wins one, loses one, bounces back big with the big finish kind of thing. And, last fight is just a fucking disappointment for him and his team, And so I could see him coming out guns blazing, and I feel like he's going to get a finish. He's going to tag Cummins, and it's going to be all – once he tags him, and that's it. Cummins is not going to recover. So that's what I'm going with there. Next fight, we've got Damian Maia and Neil Magny. Maia being a world champion, I think he's it's two-time world champion black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's widely recognized as one of the most dangerous and best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners. The guy's got impeccable takedown ability with his timing. If you saw his last fight, he looked really impressive. I was really impressed by the way he was timing his takedowns with Ryan LaFleur. Ryan LaFleur is a good wrestler, good-ass wrestler. And he was just manhandling him, just, had no problems taking him down, pinning him down, and keeping top position. I was really impressed there. I was also impressed with LaFleur, though, at his ability to defend a lot of these submissions. The guy was game. I feel like Maia has worked on his stand-up a little bit. I feel like he was a little bit of a wild striker that just kind of bum-rushed people before. He looked a little bit more collected, a little bit more technical than I'm used to seeing him, which I think has also helped out quite a bit with his timing for his takedowns. He looked really good to me his last fight. Neil Magny coming in as the underdog. He's a positive 159 underdog. Over-under set at 2.5 rounds, with the over being way favored at negative 221. Under is positive 185. We could see a finish here. There may be a little value there. To me, I could see, somebody getting subbed here, or, a TKO victory for Magny, possibly. I don't see that happening with Maia, but you never know. The guy, he can leave himself open when he shoots for those takedowns. Magny is he's gotten really technical, with his striking. Jackson's, I think he trains with Jackson's. He's been looking really impressive. Actually, Magny trains with Robbie Lawler. He's kind of come out of nowhere. I used to think Neil Magny was kind of one of those sticks that, somehow made it in the UFC. The guy's fucking good, though. Like, he just kind of come into his own lately. He's been just looking better and better every fight. One of those kind of guys, just kind of like Robbie Lawler, who just kind of came out of nowhere and just started beating guys. Like, what the WTF? What's going on here? And he's just looked really good lately against some tough opponents too. Last fight that he had, I actually saw it. I'm just trying to remember here. refresh my memory. His last fight, I actually bet on him and won. That was against the Chinese guy, Hyung Yu Lim. I don't even know how to pronounce that. The big-ass Chinese guy who knocks people the fuck out. And he looked really good. He knocked him out, avoided most of his power strikes, actually even took him down twice, passed guard 6 times, outstruck him technically. He just looked really good. He was playing that distance game. This may be a problem for Damian Maia, with Neil Magny's reach, his length, and his distance game. Neil Magny is one of those guys, kind of like John Bones Jones. He just uses that distance to his advantage. Looks really good, with how he approaches his game. And I've been really impressed with that lately. I have a hard time with this one. This is one of those on the card where I could see there being an upset. I feel like there's a lot of people on Damian Maia. I feel like people, Neil Magny's one of those guys. He's got the momentum. He's like one of those snowballs that's like at the top of the hill that keeps rolling down the hill, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger as it gets down the hill. And I just don't see the momentum stopping here. I feel like Damian Maia he's making a comeback, but I feel like it's Neil Magny's time. Last fight, I had a change of heart, and I picked Brian Caraway at the last minute. This is the gut feeling that I had with that. I had that gut feeling, Brian Caraway, it's his time, And what happened? He actually beat a fucking good guy, a good ass opponent in. Fuck, I can't even remember any of these names tonight. I don't know what's wrong with me. Never mind. He beat the guy who fought Brad Pickett. Can't remember his fucking name. Whatever. Anyway, you guys know who I'm talking about if you're an MMA fan. I thought that the other guy was a better fighter overall. But there's a story behind that. I think he was done with the UFC. But anyway, long story short, Neil Magny, I don't know. I don't think Damian Maia is going to win this. I just don't know why I feel that way. But usually when I get those gut feelings and I don't listen to them, that's when I lose money. And I can't fucking bring myself to bet on Neil Magny on this fight. I don't know why. And my gut and my heart's telling me that that's who's going to win. And my money wants to go on Damian Maia. I feel like he's looked really good, but I'm having a hard time with this one. I may just lay off of it, see what happens, just enjoy the fight. I think it's going to be a good one, though. Don't be surprised to see some surprises here. But for my lean, I'm going to go with Neil Magny to win by a decision, and it's going to go over. So that's my lean. It's not my official pick, but we'll see what happens here. I may decide on it later. I may change my mind. Okay, so we're getting down to business here. Next fight, I'm going to make this real quick. I'm not going to fucking waste my time with this one because I don't think that it's worth wasting time on. Jessica Aguilar and Claudia Gadelha. Really simple here. Claudia Gadelha, I just don't see her getting beaten here in any way, shape, or form. She's a BJJ black belt. She's a finisher. She's finished 7 out of 12 opponents. She's got a 12-1 record, 6 wins by sub. The over is set at negative 253, 2.5 rounds. The under is at positive 210. The under may be worth something here. The under may be worth something at 2-1. I'm just going to throw that out here. Hell of a value here. You're getting double your value. I think there's a 50-50 chance of finish here from Gadelha. I don't see Aguilar doing shit as far as the finish. It's just not going to happen. If anybody does it, it's Gadelha, and she's going to win anyway. So I think that it could be a 50-50 chance for the finish here. So just throwing that out there, maybe worth a small bet. I'm going to go with the under on my lean, and Gadelha, obviously, duh. I don't see Aguilar, doing much here. I really don't. She's a good game opponent, but just Gadelha's on a different level. She's going to be fighting top tier people pretty soon. Next fight, Soa Palele, one of my favorite heavyweights, and Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Palele spent 12 weeks in AKA at Thailand for his training camp. 19 of his 22 wins are by KO, which I haven't really seen a whole lot of lately, seems like. He's had one decision in 26 of his professional fights. He's coming in as the favorite at -206. He's coming in as the favorite. Bigfoot is the underdog here at +184. And lately, we've seen a little bit more money going on these lines. The over-under set at 1.5 rounds, over being the over being +155, the under being a -184. I feel like I have those backwards, possibly. I'm not going to look, but that's the case. I'm probably going to take the over here. I could see this one obviously probably going under. Bigfoot's got a weak-ass chin. He's been slow as fuck lately. Just not looking good like Bigfoot did during Strikeforce to me. Ever since he stopped with the PED stuff, I feel like he's just kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like steroids. Your dick shrinks and you just lose your drive and everything just kind of sucks. And that's what I see here with Bigfoot. I just don't see him winning at all here. I don't see him winning on the ground. I don't see him winning with the stand-up. I just see him getting his ass knocked out again. One thing to note about Bigfoot, though, this fight is last two fights, I think it's fucked him up mentally, getting knocked out. Guys, he looks scared to me. Bigfoot does not look like a big fucking monster like he was in Strikeforce. He looks like he's fucking scared because he's been tagged and has just gotten knocked the fuck out the last two fights. And, that can really affect a guy. He's got some mental issues. He admitted to that in several interviews. And since then, he has tried to correct that by seeing a therapist to help with his mental game. Let's see if that did help at all. Let's see if he gets a little bit more aggressive here. And if that's the case, sometimes the mental thing is all that it takes for people. I'm telling you guys, the mental game, your mental status is, it can make a huge difference for people. And if that's the case here, that 184, that's valuable to me. We could see a finish from Bigfoot. But more than likely, with what we know in the history here, the last two fights, we take a look at the last two fights of both guys. We got one guy trending upward with Palele and one guy trending downward with Bigfoot. So if Bigfoot does not and has not corrected his mental issues here and his fears, we're going to see the same thing. We're going to see Palele coming away with the victory. But Dana White's always got to throw in a Dana White special or 2 or 3 on every card where the unexpected just kind of happens and everybody loses their money. This could be one of those. So put a little check mark beside it on your card and take a note of that. The over, probably not going to happen, but I like it. I do like it because Palele has been known to shoot and take guys down for ground and pound. Lately, he's been trying to do that quite a bit more. So I like that over. I don't know why. I just like the over on this. More than likely, though, things play out the way they have been. It's Bigfoot getting tagged and getting knocked out, in my opinion. This one, I'm going to lean. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to lean for Palele. I'm going to go with Palele and and the over one. That's what I think is going to happen here. I think it's going to be being pushed up against the cage, a little bit of dirty boxing, a lot of shooting for takedowns, and it's going to be Bigfoot flat on his back, over and over again. Possibly getting mounted and beating the shit out of. Either that or Palele getting tagged immediately and this fight ending very quickly with the big stump tree arm from Bigfoot. So one of those two situations. More than likely the first. So those are my leans. Next fight, Stefan Skyscraper Struve versus Antonio Big Nog Nogueira. Minotauro Big Nog Nogueira. Struve changed training camps to the Black Zillions in Florida. He cut weight for the very first time, so he's put on some LBs, it seems like. He weighed in at 270, I think it was 6 pounds. It's fucking massive. He was 26 pounds above his opponent, who weighed in at 240. No, he was, let's see here. No, he weighed in at 265. I apologize. Still 25 pounds above his opponent. It's just, that's a lot. He's like twice the size of Minotauro. He has 16 wins by sub, 29 wins total. Big Nog, 21 of his 34 wins have been by sub. He's a former heavyweight champ. Over-under is at 1.5 rounds. Over being positive money at positive 120. The under being a negative 140. I see this ending in the first round. And I do not see Big Nog getting a win in the UFC ever again, honest to God. I think he's done. I think he was done 2 fights ago, and I don't know why they keep putting him in these fights. He's just going to get brain damaged. The guy's done. I have mad respect for him for what he's done in Pride. Pride and UFC as a heavyweight champ. But he needs to retire. Don't be surprised if he gets his ass knocked out here, which I think is going to happen. Struve is a pretty safe bet, in my opinion, at negative 159. Very surprised if he gets knocked out. It's going to be hard for him, Big Nog, to get a hold of Struve. It's going to be hard for him to tag him and hit him since he's so tall. Struve's got those knees, those wicked knees where he can just, lift his knee like a couple inches and it like tags the guy in the face. The guy's fucking huge. And I think he, coming off that loss to, we're not going to have a different caliber. We're going to have a much different caliber fighter here with Minotauro, who's in my opinion, he looks like shit lately. No disrespect to him though. He's done a lot for the sport. But he's definitely not, he's not one of these, impressive heavyweights at all. Quite the opposite. But Struve, I think he's going to do this. He's going to knock him out for sure. So that's my pick, or not my pick, but my lean, I guess. Struve by knockout first round. Moving on. Delano Lopez, TUF Brazil finalist. A lot of experience. He's 19-1, 1 loss. 12 wins by sub. He's a Novo União guy. União versus Reginaldo Vieira. Lopez is a 3-1 favorite. Vieira's 10 of his 13 wins are by sub. The last 6 wins were all first round finishes. Over under is set at 2.5 rounds. Excuse me, getting tired here. Over being at negative 140, under being positive 120. My lean is basically to go with the Novo União guy. I don't know much about these guys, but I just know that guys that come out of that gym, they're just, that's like the Jacksons or the TriStar of Brazil, basically. and you know that they're going to be solid. There's a reason why he's a 3-1 favorite. I feel like this one would be a good one for a parlay. Parlay it with something, that's a little more risky, I guess. So my lean here would be somebody's getting finished under 2.5 rounds, and I'm going with Lopez to be the finisher. Next one is also another TUF fight. Don't know a whole lot about these guys either. I have not been following Tough Brazil, unfortunately. I don't have time to do all that shit like I would like to. But what I do know about these guys, Glyco Franca, purple belt and Luta Livre, he subbed all of the TUF opponents he's faced. 9 first-round finishes, all 3 wins on the show were all by rear naked choke. 13 wins, all have been by submission. He's the favorite at -171. Fernando Bruno didn't look too bad at the weigh-ins. He is also a TUF Brazil guy. 9 sub wins. He's a BJJ black belt. 16-2 record. He was a lightweight finale for TUF Brazil, I believe it was. Positive 153 underdog here. This one should be going under, I think. I really feel like there's a good chance of it going under at these two guys. Both really good finishers. Both guys with huge sub game. We're going to see somebody getting rear naked choke, or we could see whole plata or something funny happen in here. More than likely rear naked choke though. And so I'm going with the under here for my lean, and I'm going to go with the guy who I know. He looks like he's really done a lot on the show. Going with Franca for the favorite. That's just a lean though. Getting down to our last 2 fights and then our bonus pick. Shogun Rua, 19 of 22 wins by KO. He's got a 22-10 record. A little bit washed up in my opinion. He's coming in as a 2-1 favorite against Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, Lil Nog. It's kind of like a grudge match from their Pride days. Both these guys were throwing heavy leather at each other from the get-go when they fought back in the day, and they've always wanted to rematch each other. I think they're trying to overplay this one as being like one of the fight of the night, super exciting fights. It's just not the fucking case. Shogun's pretty exciting guy still. I just don't find this to be like a really, pay-per-view card worthy material. Nonetheless, I am looking forward to it. I am looking forward to seeing these guys throw down. I think one guy's going to sleep. Probably not first round, but I could see it happening second round late. So I'm going to go with the over here. Over 1.5 at -166. And I think that person going to sleep is going to be Lil Nog. Although he looked really good against Rashad Evans with his boxing. But Shogun, I think, is making a comeback here. I really feel like Shogun, he's with his old trainer, Antonio Carvalho, I think his name is. He's a famous Brazilian trainer. I think Shogun's going to get this one. That's what my mind's telling me. Although no, I really think Shogun's going to get this one. It's going to go over too. Shogun's a really durable guy. You don't see him get his ass knocked out quite that often. I mean, the guy's been tagged repeatedly by guys, and he just somehow hangs in there. I can see him getting tagged a few times and then coming back and just knocking the fuck out of Lil Nog, like late second round. Usually always one of the two guys will get tagged. Lil Nog has better head movement, in my opinion. He has better boxing. Hua has better leg kicks. It's going to be interesting. I think it'll be a good fight. I really do. They're trying to play the old ass guy fight, that everyone wants to see. Both these guys are washed up. I think Hua's going to get the better of it, though. He'll probably get a TKO victory. So I'm going over barely. It'll be close. with Shogun Rua. Last fight, Ronda Rousey and Betch Correia. This one's going to be interesting because of all the comments that were made pre-fight. I've got a theory here, but lately, I don't know. I've been doing not too bad on these main events. I think the last one was the one that I lost for the first time in like 7 main events. Pretty damn good. I've predicted the over-under on every single one of them correctly. And I picked the winner every single time, including massive underdogs. So 2-to-1 underdogs mainly. So I'm doing pretty damn good for myself on these main events. I should probably just stick with the main cards. I just like MMA too much, though, not to try some of these undercards out. I really feel like you can make a fortune on these undercards because there's less fixing involved. People that say that there's no fixing in the UFC, that's fucking bullshit. You can look at any of these fights. There were fights last fight on the undercard that were fucking rigged, dude. The one that comes to mind was that, what's his face? The guy that starts with an H. His last name, Holbertson or Holm, not Holm, but you know what I'm talking about. It was one of my picks on Twitter, and, it's like, what the fuck? Like, the guy should have lost. He really should have. The guy, he fought against Ramsey Niam. Holbrook was the name. That guy shouldn't have won that fight. I picked that one, actually. I picked him to win. He shouldn't have won it. But, that's the UFC for you. That's the UFC judges. Some of them I feel like, what the fuck are these guys doing judging? They should not be judging. Like, they're just not. I could judge better. And I'm not even an MMA specialist. I don't train in MMA. I just watch a lot of it. But, we'll see what happens. So Betch Correia, Ronda Rousey, it's completely obvious who's going to win here. Nobody, the odds are like something insane. It's like a Mike Tyson fight. Negative 1,600 for Ronda Rousey as the favorite, and a positive 1,102 for Betch Correia. I don't see anywhere that Betch Correia is going to beat Rousey. Maybe stand up a little bit, she could tag her maybe with a lucky punch. She's got decent body. She doesn't have heavy hands, so I don't think it's going to hurt Rousey. Rousey's just training with the guys. Although Betch Correia is also used to training with the guys, but I think Rousey actually likes the guys to hit her like a normal fucking guy. But Correia, Kung Fu purple belt. I don't know how much that's going to do for her. She's actually undefeated, though. Not a bad fighter at all. I've actually picked her from the get-go a long time ago. I haven't picked her at all in any of her recent fights, but I picked her a long-ass time ago as an underdog, way back against, who was it? It was one of the other Brazilian gals. I picked her, I think it was against Jessamine Duke, actually. I picked her as the underdog. She came out on top. I called it that it was really going to be an easy fight, but that was a long-ass time ago. But anyway, she's not a bad fighter. I just don't see her winning. I don't see anybody winning Ronda Rousey ever. I feel like she will retire undefeated. This fight's going to be no different from her others. The only thing that I could see happening here, and I feel like some of the animosity's kind of gone away for Ronda. She's really kept her cool. It's not normal for me to see her like that. But I feel like Rousey was really calm at the weigh-ins. I was surprised. Normally she'd be like, hitting something out of somebody's hand or just kind of being extra dramatic. She actually seemed like she had taken like some tranquilizers or something. I was surprised. But the one who looked like she was all fired up was Correia. So, she looked like she was letting her emotions get the best of her, like they're, the announcers were talking about, Kenny Florian mainly. But I don't know. I think that Rousey's probably going to have it go under. I think she's going to finish her early. Everybody's also on their early trade. But if it holds true here to what she said that she's going to do, She's going to punish her and make it one of the most gruesome, brutal fights that anyone's ever seen her fight. Because it was a personal comment that she had made, and she did offend her, and it was offensive to her dead father. So don't be surprised if Ronda Rousey wants to make this, stand up, war for 5 rounds. She definitely could do that if she wants to, and then slip in an armbar last second, 5th round. I mean, she can basically control how this fight goes. So, if UFC wants to pull a UFC Dana White special on this one, the over-under would be the way to do it. Over-under set at 1.5 rounds. The under is a negative 32. The over is a positive 270. All that you have to do is have Ronda Rousey, all that you have to do is have Rousey Correia survive 1 round and 2.5 minutes, and you get 3-1 on your money. To me, that's a lot of value, especially with what was said about her wanting to drag this one out, make her punish her and make her hurt, be unrecognizable after the fight, change her. There's some value there, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens here and everybody's parlay gets busted. Don't be surprised. We've seen some weird shit. But if I do play it, I'm a little bit of a gambler. I probably will want to put like 250 or 250 to 500 on it. 250 probably more than likely if I'm playing conservative. But I could see it going over. I don't know why. I just feel like they're going to get some Dana White specials this card. It usually happens. It's just a matter of pinpointing which ones they are. UFC's, it seems like UFC's kind of really gotten desperate lately. This fucking Reebok deal. So, they're making their arrangements at these Las Vegas bookies. This is a money-making sport. And it's all about promotion, and it's all about hype, and feeding on people's emotions. I'm going with my lean on the over here. I just have a gut feeling on it. Play small if you do. And obviously Ronda Rousey, no-brainer there. So we're going to wrap this up here with my bonus pick for World Series of Fighting, which happens basically at the same time as UFC, and nobody's going to be watching World Series of Fighting. But we have actually kind of a cool matchup here with the main event between Rousimar Palhares and Jake Shields. Rousimar Palhares is the underdog here at positive 142, and Jake Shields is a favorite at negative 158. Jake Shields is a Gracie Barra Jiu-Jitsu guy from San Francisco area, Bay Area, Stockton, I believe it was. He trains down there in Northern Cal with Diaz brothers. Over-under set at 1.5 rounds. The over is negative 166. Under is positive 140. If you've seen Rousimar Palhares fight, like guys like Hector Lombard, got his ass knocked down in that fight. But the last 2 fights after that, he just fucking dismantled the guys and basically tore their leg off with his freaking heel hooks. The guy is like the heel hook master, and he's widely recognized as if any one person has the best heel hook in the world, it's him. He is deadly with those heel hooks. In fact, he wins like 75% of his fights with heel hooks. The guy you don't leave your legs out there. That's the bottom line with this guy. Jake Shields, to me, people give Jake Shields way too much benefit of the doubt. I mean, the guy's been in the ring with GSP and, Jake Ellenberger, and the guy got knocked out by Jake Ellenberger. I just don't feel like he's that good. I don't see what all the fuss is about with Jake Shields and why he's even a favorite here. But he does have great ground wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Jake Shields, if anybody, can defend those heel hooks. But I feel like anybody who has their leg in the way of Rousimar Palhares, they're going to get it torn off. The guy's a fucking monster. I mean, just look at the guy's pictures. And one of his heel hooks, he did not let go. That was a big controversy, too.
he almost got kicked out of, I think he did get kicked out of UFC for that, or Strikeforce it was. He got kicked out of some fight. Maybe it was Bellator. He couldn't come back. I don't remember. But he got, basically they told him that he can't come back, you know, because he took it too far. He didn't let go, and the referee stopped the fight. And he kept twisting, you know, twisting on that leg. And, you know, the guy has got like this killer, literal prison killer instinct. I think he's going to win this. So, and I think that there's some value, a lot of value with positive 142. You're almost getting 1.5 back there. I feel like Jake Shields is a fucking pussy. No, you know, no disrespect to him. He's got great jiu-jitsu, but the guy just does not belong. There's a reason why he's not in the UFC anymore. Paul Harris, on the other hand, could be in the UFC still, but it's because he's got such a fucking bad attitude, and he's such a badass that he wants to kill people in the ring instead of actually win fights. That's the reason why he's, you know, where he is. So I feel like he's going to win this one, and he's got just a huge chip on his shoulder. He's gonna tear off a limb, you know, with Jake Shields. Jake Shields is a good fighter though, but Paul Harris is just, he's a monster. He's like a fucking evil monster. So, you know, keep that in mind. You might want to place a bet on him. You might not. And I think that one will go over, barely. I would stay away from the over-under there, but my lean's on the over. So that's wrapping it up. Everybody have a good night. Make sure you do your own due diligence on these fights. I'll post my final plays, which probably I'm going to be a little bit more deliberate this time around. I like to play almost every fight, but you know, I only play ones that I reviewed some footage on if I do. And this time around, I'm gonna be a little bit more deliberate. I'm gonna probably cut it down to my top 4 plays, and I'm just gonna lay off everything else. See how it goes that way. See if we can get better results than what we have. And thank you for following. Please retweet if you feel so inclined. At the bottom of this video, we've got links to my 2 favorite books. You know, please, you know, if you feel so inclined, click on the links, sign up for an account. I get, you know, an affiliate offer for that, which is kind of nice. It helps me out, allows me to be able to, you know, have the time to do these for you guys. And good luck to everybody, and enjoy the fights tomorrow. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.